Abdullah Mason continues to impress. You know, he came out here with incredibly high expectations. He's opening up on the main card. He was really talked about during fight week. They put some real promotional muscle behind him. Like in the build-up to this one, you were really hearing his name. And he came out and he delivered. Like he came out, he lived up to those expectations and he delivered. Stopped his man in the third round and he made it look easy when he did it. This was supposed to be the toughest fight, his most experienced opponent, and he just ran through him. You know, and one of the things that I liked about this broadcast was the fact that the announcers spoke about the evolution of a fighter, right? They mentioned that every opponent has to have a purpose. As you're working your way up, 4-rounders, 6-rounders, 8-rounders, 5 fights, 8 fights, 10 fights, whatever the case may be, as you're working your way up, the matchmakers of the promoter that you're signed with, it's incredibly important that they understand what their job is and how you're supposed to develop as a fighter and presenting you with all of these different looks and all of these different opportunities. Tonight was one of those moments in Mason's career, right? He was supposed to be fighting a guy, a seasoned veteran, a guy who's got some experience, a guy who isn't there to lay down, a guy who knows what it's like to be in tough fights. He's a tough guy, all of that, right? Mason went out there and just absolutely smoked him, man. I mean, this guy, he comes out here, he's got the intention of pressuring Mason, right? Wants to keep him busy, cannot let him think, a lot let him get in the driver's seat. He was talking about it in the pre-fight meetings, and you could see that as soon as this fight started, that's exactly what he wanted to do. You know, and right out the gate, to be perfectly honest, I liked what I saw from LeBron, right? He knew that he was outmatched. He knew that he was the B-side, but he's like, look, I'm going to come in here. I've got a plan. I've got a strategy on how I'm going to beat this young guy. And he comes out, plays a tight defense from the outside, inches forward against the younger, quicker fighter. And that's a great game plan, right? Because if you just stay on the outside, you're going to get smoked. Mason's got quicker feet, quicker hands, you know, stronger, faster reflexes, better technique and all that. You can't play that game. So you have to go about things with a slightly different method. Then as he's playing that game, as he's inching forward, as he's making movements, he's trying to find opportunities. Catches Mason with a little lead left hook. Later on, backs him up against the ropes, catches him with a right hand. Like that, those moments right there are a lot of success for LeBron. Those moments show that he had a game plan coming in and he's attempting to execute in it, which to be perfectly honest is probably more than can be said for any of Mason's opponents prior to this. You know, and at this point in the thought, I said, you know, look at this. This may be a little test for the young man. You know, I thought LeBron may be able to come out and bring something to the table that was going to push Mason out of his comfort zone, right? Maybe we'll see this fight go into the mid-rounds. Maybe we'll actually see this one go the distance. Instead, you know, what we saw was the young man only shifting into second or third gear, and he still stopped him. Like Abdullah Mason still went out there and put on a performance. He still has more to give. Like he hasn't even been pushed to 100% yet. So not only does he have more to give in the sense of giving 100%, he's got more growing to do as a fighter. This isn't his final form by any stretch of the imagination. So you can think about the type of potential that we're talking about, right? He goes out there and just like you'd expect, he's able to find his shots on the outside. And everybody knows about the hand speed. That's easy to see. Just jumps off the screen at you. But it's the other things that I believe that really set him apart. We're talking about punch placement, accuracy, the patience, the desire to go to the body. Like you don't see that in a lot of young fighters, and it is so key to not only develop that skill in the gym, understand the difference as far as what your defensive responsibilities are between body punching and punching upstairs, but then executing it in a fight. Like actually going out there when everything's on the line and still pulling the trigger and executing on it. Those are the things that are really setting him apart at this point in his career. And I'm just going to take this one sequence here I want to highlight, and it really speaks to what I'm talking about. As far as his patience and his composure. All right. Now there's about 30 seconds left in the first round. Mason throws this little flurry, gets blocked. Moves on the outside, tries to find some shots while LeBron is still closing the distance. He tries to get an angle here. Pops in with an uppercut and a hook. And it got through a little bit, but basically for the most part it was blocked. Then he exits out to the side, resets, and throws a jab. Now you look at this. LeBron was never flustered. He stayed behind the guard, came forward. And after that, he catches Mason clean with this right hand. And this sequence doesn't really mean anything for the most part, but it's very important, I think, when you're looking at a fighter. Because when you watch this, right at that moment is a perfect example of when a typical young fighter would feel the need to turn it up. Like he just got his combo blocked. He just tried to use his feet to create some space, just tried to get a shot. Nothing really worked. And then all of a sudden he gets caught with a right hand while he's looking. This is his first time on the main card. Everybody's watching. He's got the promotional buildup. Everybody's talking about his name and how he's this phenom and the blue stamp prospect and everything else. And just a little sequence like that all of a sudden, man, you can feel your face start to get hot. Like all of a sudden you can feel like maybe I need to turn it up a little bit because I'm supposed to go out here and dominate. I'm supposed to be able to make these things happen. And all of a sudden my shots aren't getting off and this guy got one of his off. And you didn't see anything like that, man. He didn't get flustered. He didn't feel the need to immediately try to get back and rush and do something and be overly aggressive. He stays cool, slips a few more shots, and then counters hard to the body. Like, you can't ask for more than that. He stayed within himself, acted correctly, found the right shot. You know what I mean? It is little moments like that that are so telling in a fighter's career. Fast forward, he ends up getting the stoppage here. And I just want to say one more thing. Look at LeBron's face after this gets stopped. Look at his face, man, the way he nods his head. You know the majority of fighters, doesn't matter how bad they're getting whooped, the majority of fighters, they're going to complain if they're still standing on their feet when a fight gets stopped. All this guy does is nod. He nods because he knows he was in over his head. He needed his corner to come save him. Like, that's the type of talent that Abdullah Mason possesses, man. He goes out there and he can make a veteran quit, make his corner throw in the towel, right? Just goes out there and puts on a beating from bell to bell. So my hat's off to the young man. He went out there once again and continued to impress us. Let me know what you guys think. How long is it before we see him ranked in the top 10? How long is it before we see him actually get a fight of some meaning, maybe win a secondary belt of some kind? Let me know what you guys think.